All right. Shalom, Akim. God's lesson. I do want to give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Shai, Bahashim Dash, double one star apostle, 100 great Muslim that taught us truth, peace, and blessings. Sincere Akims, expressing his truth and our truth and sincerity. Around the fulcrum of the earth to lead to Asher Shalom. Can the Red Yara Arya from the Great Stone Man Camp. And come back to the spirit power of Yahweh Bahashim Shai, make another lesson. And in this lesson, I'll be going into how we must remain focused. Okay, us as men of the Lord, keeping our eye on the prize and ultimately understand what we are a part of. Okay, because now times are getting serious. All right, a lot of things are happening in the whole world, man. All right, it's not for us to get distracted with women, our lives. Okay, the little things that we go through. All right, we are to remain focused. Okay, keeping Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai first always. Okay, prioritizing the Lord first in everything that we do. All right, never putting the Lord on the back burner. Okay, never putting the Lord second. All right, because if you put the Lord second, the Lord gonna put you second, man. All right, and that's what you don't want. All right, you want to call upon the Lord, you want to call upon the name of the Lord and be heard. All right, you don't want to call upon the name of the Lord and be forsaken. All right, but ultimately, to do that, you would have to, keep your eye on the prize, which is, being saved. All right, remaining vigilant. If I'm saying the word correctly, keeping, being a watchman, as the scriptures tell us to be, watchman of Yahweh Bashim Shai. All right, if you're a watchman, okay, and they put you to watch, you have to remain focused, okay, because you are what everybody's counting on, okay. It's like you have you have a castle, and you got your watchman that's at the highest peak, looking afar off to see, if there's any intruders coming. If you are a watchman, you got to be focused, okay. You can't be up there looking and falling asleep and up there looking, and getting distracted, because that's how you get got. Okay, that's how you get caught. If we don't want to get caught with our pants down, man. Okay, we want to be, we want to be in good case, so that when all hell breaks loose, okay, we are deemed, acceptable to be saved. Okay, but that starts not remaining us remaining focused, not getting distracted. Okay, also understand that we do have a life. Okay, it's a balance. Keeping the Lord first, prioritizing the Lord first. All right, keeping the Lord on our minds constantly. Okay, and then, this is 2 Timothy 2 and verse 3, and it says, "I thank the Most High, whom I serve." And it says, "Therefore, in their hardness, as a good soldier of the Hawashai Mashiach, no man that warreth entangle himself with the affairs of his life, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier." And that's right, man. Not being, and this first verse, soldiers don't get, in the NOT verse 4. It says soldiers don't get tied up in the affairs of the civilian life, where they cannot please the officer who enlisted them. Please the officer who enlisted them. And that's right, man. You being a soldier for the Lord, you have to remain focused. Okay, you cannot get caught up in the, Babylonian juice. All right, so they may say, you can't get caught up in the, in the little things, okay, that, we are seeing in America. We have to, it's like we're training, all right, our minds continually, man. All right, but if you're training your mind, you don't want to get distracted, okay, because that's going to throw you off course. All right. And I had the definition of focus. I forgot to bring it out. It says focus the main central point of something, especially attention or interest. And that's right, man. The main central point of something. All right, especially of intention or interest. Okay, all our attention should be on Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai ultimately. Okay, your life should be circled around pleasing the Lord. Okay, because what does that do? That keeps you constantly in the spirit, right? That doesn't allow you time to get distracted. Okay, you're keeping the Lord. You're keeping the Lord as the center. We keep Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai as the center. All right, that's why we're able to do certain things. When you keep Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai as the center, all right. When you keep the Lord as your center, that doesn't lead you time to get distracted. All right, to get taken off your path. When everything you do is either praising the Lord or you going to work, you say to whatever she wants to try for getting you to work. All right, these things keep you locked in, man. All right, these things allow you to be able to constantly reverence the Lord, constantly be in the spirit. Watching videos and at that too. Okay, that keeps you focused on the prize. Okay, that keeps you focused on the prize. All right, doesn't allow you, it doesn't give you leeway to be distracted. All right, because as soon as you start to do things on your own, or try to put the Lord on the back burner, you start getting distracted, man. All right, and I'm gonna grab another precept, which is Luke 20:12 and verse 31. It says, "But rather seek ye the kingdom of the Most High, and all these things shall be added unto you." And that's right, man. Seek ye the kingdom of the Lord. Then all these things will be added unto you. Okay, not trying to build up something here in America, but ultimately trying to prosper in the kingdom. All right, but to prosper in the kingdom, you got to be doing what's called of you now. Okay. When you seek it, when you see the kingdom of the Lord first, okay. When you do these things first, what does that do? That programs your mind. Okay, you are in the spirit of, hey man, I'm not trying to prosper in America. Okay, I'm trying to do what's called of me now, so I can, so I can able to be saved to endure to be able to enjoy the kingdom. All right. To seek ye first the kingdom of the Lord, and and how do you do that? By constantly remaining focused. All right, by constantly being in the scriptures, constantly watching videos, constantly praying, reverencing the Lord. All right, not getting caught up in the in the Babylon juice. All right, and if you see yourself getting unfocused, pray. Okay, if you see yourself losing focus, pray to the Lord, man. Okay, that's our help. Okay, if you feel like you need a little more of a push, pray to the Lord. Ask brothers for a prayer, man. Okay, because this is a fight. Okay, it's going to be a constant fight of the spirit and the flesh. Scripture said that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Okay, so so your spirit want to please the Lord, but your flesh, man. All right, that's why it's a constant battle every day, man. Every day, it's a constant battle with this, wicked ass flesh. Okay, but we have to overcome the flesh, man. We have to show the Lord that we're able to, that we able. All right, that we're not just gonna get caught up, with the fleshly things, man. All right. Another piece of Matthew 6. Verse 19. And it says, lay not up yourself treasures upon earth, right, man? Lay not yourself treasures upon earth. Not trying to become, the millionaire in this place. It's not wrong with, trying to make a little bit more shekels. Okay? And it says where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. Okay, if you try to make America, Babylon, your end all be all, and try to become a rich person in this place, you're gonna be sorely disappointed. Okay, because even if you do have riches, you still gotta worry about the curses. Ultimately with the curse, you still gotta worry about, rust and your thieves trying to steal your things. Okay, getting breakthrough. All right, bills. So you can't really truly admire what you have. All right, that's why the scripture says to lay not yourself treasures upon earth, man. Lay your treasures on the kingdom. Okay, put your focus on the kingdom, being saved. All right, and it says, but lay yourself treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust do corrupt, where thieves do not break through and steal. Right, man. And, in the heavens, we're not gonna be worrying about those things, man. And in the kingdom of Yahweh Shimon Shai, we're not gonna be worrying about niggas stealing. All right, the curses. Okay, because we're gonna be under that new covenant. Or the laws and statutes gonna be in our inward parts. We gonna be right, man. Okay, we gonna be found right in the sight of Yahweh Shimon Shai. Okay, but what did we do to get these things? We stayed focused. Okay, when niggas was unfocused, when niggas was trying to please their flesh, when niggas fell out, and lost focus, okay, we kept it, man. All right, and that's what's gonna separate us from a lot of these niggas, man. A lot of people that done fell out the truth, they lost focus. A lot of people that done gave up, they lost focus. All right, and they're gonna be caught up. Okay, they're gonna be caught up in everything. All these little, the shit that Esau Edom gonna come down with. These people are gonna get caught up right like a snare in a trap, man. Understand that we dealing with the devil too. All right, so as soon as you lose focus on the Lord, Satan right there waiting for you. Okay, when you allow yourself to lose focus in Yahweh Shimon Shai, ultimately, you gonna get tempted. All right, and if you're not believing in the Lord, you're gonna get took, man. All right, because if you're battling with the spirit, in the flesh daily, and if you give up on the Lord, the flesh gonna overtake you, man. Okay, it's not an easy thing, brothers. All right, constantly keep your eye on the prize. Constantly keep your mind on the Lord. Everything you do, man, so that you don't lose sight of Yahweh Shimon Shai, because that's the worst thing you want to do in these times, man. Okay? Everything that you do, reverence Yahweh Shimon Shai. Try to implement, the Lord in everything that you do. And it don't got to be anything crazy. Okay? Whether you got some food, you got some money, dua de Yahweh Shimon Shai. Whether you got some goods, whether you having a great day, okay? All these reverencing the Lord. The Lord is pleased with that. All right? The Lord is pleased when you do stuff like that. Okay, because we're not being forgetful, of the things that the Lord does for us. All right? We keeping our minds locked in. All right? But yeah, brothers. The title lesson is going to be to remain focused, keeping a hindsight of the Lord. All right, keeping our mind focused on the Yahweh by Shimon Shai. All right, the kingdom. All right, because there's going to be a reward for us that do pass this test, man. That doesn't take the MOTB, that make it to the end. Okay. There's going to be something laid up for us. Scripture says, there's laid up a crown of righteousness for us. Okay, what you got to do now, you got to remain focused, so you are, that the Lord can bless you. Okay, and it says, verse 21, for where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Okay, so where your mind is, where you equate your treasure to, that's where your mind's gonna be as well. Okay, if you want to try to be a billionaire in America, you're gonna constantly your mind think ways to become a billionaire or a millionaire. Okay, and you're gonna equate you becoming a billionaire with with the treasure, because that's what you always wanted. Okay, but when you equate that your treasure with the kingdom, you gonna constantly do things that's gonna make sure that you are being in the right case to be saved to get the kingdom. All right. But yeah, Akim Lowly was edified on that one. Give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Kakadash. That one is our apostle, Elder Great Millstone. With that, I want to say Shalom.